Good morning. You are listening to UpReach, a morning devotional presented by the Church Street Church of Christ in Lewisburg, Tennessee, to encourage you as you face the opportunities and challenges of today. Let's begin this day together with some inspiring thoughts from God's holy word. Then the Jews who were with her in the house and comforting her, when they saw that Mary rose up quickly and went out, followed her, saying, "She is going to the tomb to weep there." Then when Mary came where Jesus was and saw him, she fell down at his feet, saying to him, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." Therefore when Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who came with her weeping, he groaned in the spirit and was troubled. And he said, "Where have you laid him?" They said to him, "Come and see." Jesus wept. Then the Jews said, "See how he loved him." John chapter 11, verses 31 through 36. Sometimes a minister has the unenviable responsibility of seeking to bring comfort to those who are grieving due to some tragedy that has occurred in their life. I once heard a fellow minister speak of a time when he needed to go to visit a mother who had just lost her daughter in the most tragic of circumstances. The death of the daughter had taken place as a result of an accident which was in any ordinary way impossible. As a matter of fact, he says that to this day, no one knows just how this accident happened, yet it still happened nonetheless. Now, when the accident was being investigated, a certain phrase was used by one of the chief investigators, a man with a long experience in such investigations. He said that the accident was so impossible that all that could be said was that it was an act of God. We must be very careful about attempting to explain away the truly inexplicable circumstances of life with such a flippant and scarcely thought-out response. Such statements, though intended to bring comfort, may actually serve to drive a grieving person farther from God, her only source of true comfort and healing. Throughout my own experiences in ministry, I try desperately to avoid going into a house where there has been an untimely and a tragic death or sorrow and saying things like, "It is the will of God." Of course, we understand that all things happen within the will and the purview of the sovereign God. However, when a child or a young person dies too soon, or when there is a fatal accident, maybe due to someone's mistake or misjudgment, sensitivity demands that we avoid such trite expressions like "an act of God," and even be cautious about how we speak of the will of God. We must help others understand that God is just as grieved about life's tragedies as we are. God gives his people free will because there can neither be goodness nor love without free will, and exactly for that reason the action of people can and will often run counter to the will of God. Whether we like to admit it or not, many of life's tragedies are actually the result of the free will of people coming into conflict with the sovereign will of God. What about you today? Are you careful with the way you speak of God's involvement and his will when seeking to comfort those who are struggling through a tragedy? Just remember, it is often at times of heavy grief when people make their greatest strides toward the God of compassion and love. Why not ask God to use you during such times to find the words to say that will draw the hurting closer to him rather than push them farther away? This has been UpReach, a presentation of the Church Street Church of Christ in Lewisburg, Tennessee. I am Kyle Bolton, the pulpit minister at Church Street, and I would like to personally invite you to come and share times of Bible study and worship with us each week. We meet every Sunday at 9 o'clock a.m. for our morning worship, followed by our Sunday school for all ages at 10:15 a.m. Then we meet again at 6 o'clock p.m. for our evening worship. We also have a midweek meeting for devotion and Bible study on Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. I hope to see you there. Have a blessed day.
Oh God, you are my God, and I will ever praise you. Oh God, you are my God, and I will ever praise you. I will seek you in the morning, and I will learn to walk in your ways, and step by step you'll lead me, and I will